Good evening, everyone, and members of the gallery, and our viewers who are live streaming at home tonight. And our viewers who are live streaming to the local Indigenous people of Moreland by acknowledging that we meet on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. I offer my respects to the Wurundjeri elders, past and present, and to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Members of the gallery, please note that this council meeting is being recorded and web streamed live to council's website and Facebook. This recording will also be available as video on demand, and gallery attendees are advised that they will be recorded during the meeting. Councillors, just as a reminder that in line with the councillor conduct principles as outlined in the councillor code of conduct, councillors should ensure that they conduct themselves in this meeting with integrity, impartially exercise their responsibilities in the interest of the local community, and not improperly to seek or confer advantage on any person. This behaviour will support principles of leadership and good governance that secures public confidence in the office of councillor. So I'll go through the councillors who are in attendance tonight, and I believe that's all of us now. Councillor Natalie Abood, Councillor Sue Bolton, Councillor Anna Olivia Carly Cannon, Councillor Ali Alfrani, Councillor Samantha Ratnam, Deputy Mayor, evening. Myself, Councillor Helen Davidson, Councillor John Kavanagh.
Good evening.
Councillor Dale Martin.
Hi.
Councillor Mark Riley. Councillor Lambros Tapanos.
Good evening.
And Councillor Yildiz. And the officers in attendance tonight are Chief Executive Officer Narina De Lorenzo, Director of Corporate Services James Scott, Director of City Infrastructure Grant Thorne, Director of Planning and Economic Development Kirsten Costa, Director of Social Development Arden Joseph, Executive Manager of Organisation Development Anita Craven, Manager of Property and Governance Olivia Wright. So there's no apologies for tonight. I'll move on to disclosures of interest or conflicts of interest to declare. Are there any to declare, councillors? No? So none to declare. And I'll move on to the presentation of officer reports. So the first one is Organisation and Development, Draft Council Plan for 2017 to 2021. Is there a mover for this report? Councillor Natalie Abood and Councillor Dale Martin to second. Councillor Abood, do you wish to?
I won't say anything yet. I'm sure there'll be plenty of talking.
Okay, yep.
So I'd like to move an amendment.
Maybe someone else will need to do that as the second does.
I'm happy to second if.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
I'll take
sure.
seconding if that's.
We'll do that then. So Councillor Abood and Councillor Kavanagh. And Councillor Martin has an amendment. Did you wish to speak?
Yeah, thank you. So I've circulated these to all councillors in advance of tonight's meeting. So my amendments to the plan are as follows: adding in another item under P9. We're just waiting for the screens to come up. Okay, so under Progressive City, adding in some additional points relating to waste initiatives. So if I have a seconder, I'm willing to talk to those.
Perhaps if you could read what it is, and then perhaps if it's agreeable to Councillor Abood and Councillor Kavanagh, it can be incorporated into the substantive.
Yeah, that's fine. The addition of, in Progressive City, number 9, an additional point there to enhance the environmental outcomes of council waste services and increase the community's awareness / participation in environmental initiatives to reduce waste to landfill. Following there, it is renaming P6C to Trial, Education, Implementation of Initiatives to Actively Reduce Waste to Landfill, and move that into the P9 section, so that becomes P9A. Under P9A, the yearly actions are as follows, which is written on the board there. So that is Year 1, undertake an education program in parallel with a trial of public place recycling bins in the shopping strips. The trial will be evaluated from learnings gathered, which will inform whether the project will be scaled up, and that's budget, so that that's funded from the proposed 151,000, which we all should be aware of. Secondly, in Year 2 is provide a report to Council on the results of the trial program with additional information into the take-up of the composting community compost bin and worm farm discount program. It's coming out of budget. Year 2, progress the transition of diverting food waste from the garbage bin to the green bin by providing timeline and implementation plans to Council for action. Year 2, undertake analysis of the impact on dumped rubbish following the change to the hard waste collection service. Year 3, report to Council on the results of this dumped rubbish hard waste collection review. So that completes P9A. Yep. The second point will be P9B under this, and that is to become a plastic-wise council by banning all disposable plastic items at council festivals and events. And the Year 1 action item for that is to amend council's waste and litter strategy and festival and events policies to fully implement a council-wide plastic-wise policy. And following that, there's one additional point under Progressive City P2D, and that is to add in to Year 1 underneath what's already there, advance investigative and advocacy work for upfield line should a whole of line solution become viable. So they're my amendments.
Excellent. So, Councillor, that's
I'm happy with those, thank you.
Yes, Councillor
Acceptable
Taberner?
to the seconder as well.
Great. So that's now been incorporated into the substantive motion. Is there any discussion or debate further on this?
I'd like to propose a few further amendments.
Sure.
That's okay?
Yeah.
So there's a number of amendments to the council plan, and this has just been circulated. These have been circulated in the last couple of hours to councillors. So I'll just go through them. I think they'll appear on the screen. On page 19 in the column Progressive City, I'd like to amend point 4 to insert the word at least before the statement about 2 new parks. So it becomes wording there. Amend point 6 to develop a clear and funded approach to achieve zero carbon emissions by 2040. So it's amending the wording that's currently there. In point 8, to delete the word to that starts the sentence and reword the sentence to read strengthen and invest. So it's a new word, invest in the significant creative sector in Moreland and enhance its standing as a destination for the arts. On page 27, in C1 Part A, I want to reword that statement to say human rights policy implementation - scope initiatives within the human rights policy to improve social cohesion. In C1C, reword that statement about the Indigenous Employment Program to read Indigenous Employment Program, scope a new Indigenous Employment Program to increase the proportion of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander staff employed by Moreland City Council. On page 31, in C5 Part C, reword it to read implement the current youth strategy and develop a new strategy in 2018. On page 34, P1G, to amend the words to read council to partner in one pilot deliberative development project to showcase a model for the community and encourage more deliberative development models in Moreland. On page 36, I want to reword P2E to read review and fund the Moreland bike strategy to ensure completion, ensuring alignment with revised Moreland integrated transport strategy. On page 42, P8A, add a new point 3, pilot an operational grants program for local arts organisations and projects. And finally, in P8B, create a hub for the arts and invest in the arts industries. So generally, they're all rewordings, and the rationale behind them is to make them clearer about what we're trying to achieve with each of those actions. I'm happy to speak to any one of them if people have any questions, or
sure.
I'd necessarily to speak to all of them.
Okay. Is that agreeable to the mover and seconder?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, so that's now been incorporated into the substantive motion as well. Councillors, is there any discussion or debate on that? No? Are there any further amendments from councillors?
I think I just missed one line, and I'm not sure, this could be captured already in the report recommendations, but I wanted that these amendments, to have something there that these amendments be reflected in the remaining council plan and budget documents. So they probably apply to Councillor Martin's comments as well, to make sure that the language and the terminology of some of those programs that we're changing the names to flow on into the rest of the document, because there's multiple references.
Okay.
Sorry.
This is in the resolution.
It's in the resolution.
Sorry. I'll bring up the original part for the motion, which might be
Right.
enough.
Yeah, no problem.
So authorise the executive manager or OD to make any necessary changes.
Okay, thank you. So it's redundant, thank you.
Okay, great. So that's incorporated in the substantive. Are there any other amendments from councillors or any further debate or comments on? No? Okay.
Speak to the council
Yes.
plan. I'm happy to
Yes,
speak to
sure.
the council plan. Do the movers and seconders want to speak to first, or to the council plan? Or I'm happy to
Just
speak to-
briefly.
Yep.
Just to say that, and I mentioned this a number of times when we come to organisational development things, I must say I think that the way this plan is set out has absolutely improved out of sight since I first was elected to council. To me, it's a clear statement of what council wants to do, what its vision is for the period right through till 2021, and I encourage residents to read and to comment on the council plan. It is a council plan, but it's obviously a community plan as such. It's a plan for Moreland and for what we value and what we want to see implemented over the next 4 years.
Thank you, Councillor Kavanagh. Councillor Martin?
Just speaking to the council plan, firstly, congratulations to all who've been involved over months and months and months of working on this, all the councillors around the table. They've put in so much work in terms of putting ideas on the table, discussing it with fellow councillors and officers, working to new parks across Moreland in areas that are least serviced by open space. And one of the reasons we put at least is hopefully we'll be able to provide more as well if the opportunities arise, and we'll be working very strongly on that. Transport's a really big focus of this council plan. We were going to invest a lot of money in really making sure that we have a plan for changing the way people move around the city, to reduce congestion, reduce cars, which also has the added benefit of reducing emissions into our environment, and to see a real mode shift into active, sustainable forms of transport. We've also got a really significant investment in the arts, scoping a feasibility study for a hub for the arts. We know we've got one of the highest numbers of artists who live and work in Moreland, and we want to make it a place where they can continue to create and thrive, both through creative pursuits, but also through professional pursuits, where these are areas which are generating jobs for the future. So there are a few of the highlights. There's so many more, but I'm looking forward to receiving submissions from the community on it as well.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Are there any further comments from councillors? No further discussion. I also would like to reiterate my thanks to the councillor officers and particularly our CEO for her guidance on this, and to each of us who has contributed to have such amazing, big, audacious goals that we've incorporated into this, that we're really hoping to see some wonderful changes come about in the community. And it's up to the community now to really voice what they want and to contribute to this wonderful city that we live in Moreland. I'm looking forward to seeing how we change and how we grow in very positive ways, and also adapt to changes that some people may not see as so positive, such as the high density development. And council works very hard to mitigate against those things. So, for example, one thing that stands out for me is our open space. Sorry, that was our computer. Our open space funding project, where we have a trust where we actively put money in to purchase parcels of land because we recognise the debate about what is our priority here in Moreland. So I'll put those that incorporated substantive motions to the vote. All those in favour? I declare that carried unanimously. Okay, and the last report we have to consider tonight is the proposed Moreland City Council budget. Is there a mover for this report? Councillor Olivia Carly-Hannon, is there a seconder? Councillor Martin, yes. Councillor Olivia Carly-Hannon, do you wish to speak to that? Councillor Martin? No. Councillor Abood.
I just wanted to make a couple of amendments to this, please. So the first one is an amendment to the recommendations at point 11. To add that a funding strategy to add to this reserve. So should I read the top part first? Note the creation of a Bridges Reserve and initial allocation of $500,000 with the expenditure allocation pending the review of the Darebin Council business cases for the Merri Creek Shared Bridge, but then to add that a funding strategy to add to this reserve be developed so that it may adequately fund the Merri Creek Bridge near Ceres and Edgars Creek Bridge near Coburg Hill over the coming 2 financial years, pending confirmation of Council's plans. And did you want the second one as well?
Yep, so if that's agreeable to Councillor Carly Hannon and the seconder, Councillor Martin, we won't need a seconder.
That's right.
Is that agreeable to?
Yes.
Yes? And Councillor Martin? Yep, okay. Did you wish to speak to it further, Councillor Abood?
No, I don't think I really need to.
Okay.
I think it's pretty straightforward. It's, just very briefly that although the Ceres Bridge is incredibly important to both the Council of Moreland and neighbouring Council of Darebin, we're still nutting out the details of exactly how we're going to facilitate that project, and also that I want to really note that the Edgars Creek Bridge is a huge priority, and so I just wanted to make sure that that gets in there as well, because it's laying in a state of complete ruin, and I know it's something that's quite important to the community.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Abood.
So,
There's another amendment.
yeah, so there's another one which is inside the document, so inside the budget document.
Just delete it. You just delete it.
And do you have
Yep, the
that
words
as well?
on
Yeah, okay. So just, and also, at note 18, which is other reserves, on page 42 of 58, which is 134 in the whole big. To add a footnote D to the item which is Bridge Reserve, just so that it reads that $500,000 per annum recurs over 4 years to a total of $2 million from 17-18 to 2021 for bridges such as the Merri and Edgars Creek.
Thank you, Councillor Abood.
And so does Sue have to approve the whole thing, or is...
Oh, no.
No, it's
Liz.
Councillor-
Oh, Liz, sorry.
Yep,
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Carly Hannon, and is that agreeable to you? Yep. And Councillor Martin? Okay, great. Is there any further discussion on that? No? Councillor Carly?
I just want to reiterate what Councillor Wood has said, especially about these 2 bridges and how important they are as council infrastructure. And I'd also like to thank all the council officers, and in particular Norina, our CEO, and the Mayor and all the councillors on their work on the budget. And in particular, a lot of the community centres that are going to be such important lifelines for our community to continue to grow. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carly Hannon. Councillor?
A question of clarification. Councillor Abood, I noticed that 500,000 is in for this year, so I assume that motion is saying that you want that to continue into following years. Is that correct? So it's not actually changing this year's budget as such, though?
It's recurring.
Yep, fine. Thank you.
Councillor Ratner?
I'd like to add a further amendment to the budget.
Sure.
So there's 2 parts to this amendment. The first is to add Clifton Park West Sporting Grounds lighting and Brunswick Hockey Ground pitch refurbishment to the list contained in point 10 of the budget resolution. That includes a list of a number of sporting grounds. And I'd also like to add a further note for these 2 projects that should the relevant grant application not be successful, the council will refer these projects to the media budget review in order to fully fund the project within the next financial year. That's the first part about those 2 sporting grounds. Happy to take them step by step if you want to.
That's okay. We'll see if that's agreeable to Councillor Carly Hannon. Yes. And Councillor Martin? Yes. Okay.
And the second amendment is on page 149 to increase the budget amount for the asylum seeker and refugee program from $25,000 to $50,000.
Councillor Carly Hannon, is that agreeable to you? Councillor Martin?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Councillor Ratnam, did you wish to speak to
No,
that
I think
at all?
they're relatively self-explanatory, and one of the reasons for moving the second part, which is increasing that funding amount, we have been funding, I think, to approximately $50,000 for a number of years. understand that the issues that that sector is going to face are going to become much more intense over the next 2 years, and I think it's going to be more and more important that all levels of government fund it more adequately. So the increase is proposed on that rationale that actually the problems are pretty bad already, and those agencies are finding it very, very hard to find funding to help their clients with lodging and protection visa applications, get social support, when a lot of them don't have any access to income support, Medicare and work rights. So I believe that the increase in funding is justified in anticipation of the issues the sector is going to face over the next 2 years.
Thank you, Councillor Ratnam. Is there any discussion from councillors on that? Councillor Callahan?
Yeah, I just wanted to also state that with the hockey pitch, that's a commitment that council has to making sure that that's refurbished, and that we hope that we see some support from the state government, but we will be ensuring that that is done regardless, and that all the other projects will be going in line with other sporting projects that we also plan to fund in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Callahan. Is there any further discussion from councillors? Councillor Abood?
I just wanted to publicly thank everyone, Narina, the CEO and all of the officers and all of the councillors as well. I think we've got a pretty cohesive group and we're lucky to be able to work with each other. But I just really wanted to reiterate that we're in a really amazing position due to very hard work to be able to actually say, let's put money into a bridge that crosses over to our neighbours, and I think that it needs to be acknowledged that that is due to some pretty hard work, especially on the part of you, the CEO Narina, for leading the charge with that stuff, and thank you.
Definitely. Councillor Bolton?
I rise to make note of something which worries me in the budget. There are many good aspects to the budget, in particular the funding or proposals for funding for the Merri-bek Bridge, the Mellinston Hall, the proposal which was just accepted by the movers and seconded for a doubling in the amount allocated to the project for asylum seekers and refugees. But one thing which will lead me to vote against the budget is the plan to increase childcare fees by 10+%, which is well over the amount that's referred to in our strategic resource plan of keeping fees down to 3% per annum. And I noticed some fees have been, quite a lot of fees in particular in our aquatic centres and so forth have been kept down to that amount, but I am very disturbed. I mean, I think childcare is an incredibly important to families, and also to all families to be able to work and study and so forth, but also especially families that might be in any kind of vulnerable situation in particular. So I'm going to be voting against the budget for that reason.
Thank you, Councillor Bolton. Narina? Sorry, the CEO?
Just through the Mayor, just to clarify that a little bit further. So I think you're referring to the occasional care fees at Brunswick Baths. I think that's what you're referring to, because we don't run the childcare centres ourselves. And yeah, so I think that might be what you're referring to. And if that's the case, and so we'll need to provide a bit of further advice after tonight. If that's the case, I think it was covered in the fees and charges report for aquatics that was adopted by council in the last council meeting. So I just want to give you the context there, and very happy to go and understand that a little bit more and give council some further information.
Thank you. Councillor Tabernos?
Thank you. I just wanted to also acknowledge, I guess, that we are not adopting a budget tonight. We are voting to put a budget out for consultation. And that is a process where the community is able to have its say through a submission process, and we will be adopting a budget in about a month's time, or just over a month's time. So I think it is important that all councillors do support this resolution, because ultimately what we're doing is putting it out to hear the views of the community. And every budget has difficult decisions. And I know the work that's gone into this one, and I fully endorse all of the late amendments that have been fully incorporated as well. there's certainly been discussions that have been had around the table and over emails, and good projects that have been, well, a way has been found to fund them. So I believe that we've done a good job. But just to say some of the positives of this budget as well, it's of course we're in the rate capping environment, and it's a non-evaluation year, I believe. So our residents will see that this is one of the smallest rate increases ever, possibly in Moreland. So I think that would be well received. But it's also a big spending budget, particularly when it comes to capital works and many projects. I know members of the gallery who are here have advocated for many projects, and it's pleasing to see that if we're not fully completing those, like the Oak Park pools, that's been in many discussions and it's funded here, we're at least making a start to putting money aside or developing a plan for those. So it's all good news, and I've certainly seen many budgets being proposed at Moreland, and we have more debates and more amendments. So I think today that this is going so smoothly is actually a sign of the financial health of the organisation and the fact that we are able, despite a rate capping environment, to meet the needs of the community. And I think that the council, the council officers and the councillors have done a great job in that, and I look forward now to the community doing its job and letting us know what it wants funded. So I look forward to that debate and that discussion. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Tapanos. Well said. Councillor Kavanagh?
Yes. I rise to reiterate Councillor Tapanos's words. It is a proposed budget. The adopted budget is not until the 24th of July. In the meantime, we do want to have submissions. Submissions need to be submitted by the 5 p.m. on the 21st of June, and on the 3rd of July, councillors will be hearing those submissions of those that want to speak at a council meeting to hear those submissions. So yes, this is yes. Although it's been a long process up to now, if you like, it's the beginning of the end, if you like, probably the semi-final rather than the grand final. So yeah, so it is important, and you know, obviously in any budget you need income and you need expenses to be able to do the things that we want, and so therefore we can't just spend without having income as well. And yes, you're right, on the rate capping budget, and then that's pretty well taken care of as a 2% rate rise. So, we want to do a lot of things, so therefore it has to be paid for, and we hope the community will accept that as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Kavanagh. Is there any further discussion from councillors? No? In that case, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? No? I declare that carried. And, yep, would you like a division to be called, Councillor Bolton? Yes? Yep. Okay. And Councillor Bolton would like a division to be called, so I'll ask people to raise their hands again. So all those in favour? And all those against?
Can I just ask a question? Through the chair, of course, through the mayor. Does Councillor Bolton propose that we don't put a budget out for consultation, or is there an alternative view?
Councillor Bolton, do you wish to?
The majority has voted to put this budget out to consultation, so obviously it goes out to consultation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tapanos. Okay, so that brings us to the conclusion of the meeting tonight. So I'll now declare the meeting closed and thank the members for the gallery for attending, and those who have been live streaming at home, thank you, and we're eagerly awaiting your submissions.